Well, if you don't know the name Sheila Vijeyarasa, well, you definitely should. The best-selling author and executive coach, spiritual teacher, and founder of The Brave Woman is here in Toronto for an empowering event called Be Bold. She's a keynote speaker, but she's joining us live now, right here today, after flying from Sydney, Australia for 17 hours. Sheila, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I know, and you are running on adrenaline because I know you haven't slept, and your beautiful son Tyson, Phoenix, is here with your husband Tyson.
Yes.
So I want to talk about your new book, which is really interesting, The Power of Little Steps. Sometimes we think we have all these huge goals, especially as high-achieving women.
Yes.
And we stick to our plan A. That doesn't work. Plan B, okay. Yeah. But you talk about Plan C. What is Plan C?
Plan C is the plan that we never planned for. But what if Plan C was always the plan? Mm-hmm. And what if we had that kind of mindset to embrace the Plan C? You know, we think we're going to get married young and have a certain amount of kids and it's all going to be easy. I shared my fertility journey on an Australian reality documentary show called Big Miracles, where I did 8 rounds of IVF and ended up becoming a donor mother. That's part of the story in my book.
Right.
And that was never part of the plan, to get married late in life, to do that many rounds of IVF, to become a donor mother. And what I realised in being a coach for so many years, so many women are living a version of a Plan C. Mm-hmm. And we feel like we might be victim mindset, or feel like we've failed, or feel like we're not, abiding by what society expects from us. But what if we had the mindset that Plan C was always the plan, and that life is actually guiding us perfectly along? We're in the right place at the right time, and there is a gift in the Plan C. What if the most expanded version of ourselves is because of that plan?
Yeah, because of certain doors closing and other ones opening that you never even thought of or cared to look at, with gratitude and bravery, which brings me to the subject of bravery.
Yes.
I understand you talk about that, and you say that this is what gave you kind of your second coming. What are some brave acts that people watching at home can try today to kind of break out of that mindset?
So some of the brave acts that I've coached women through is speaking up in a meeting when you don't normally speak up. You're normally silent, you let your goals, you let the thing you need to say, you let someone else take the glory.
Right.
Speaking up in the meeting, putting a boundary in a place with a partner, with kids, with a boss, finally booking in that holiday before burnout kicks in. Maybe starting an IVF treatment, maybe stopping it, maybe picking up that pen and finally starting to write that book that's inside of you. It starts with the littlest of bravest of acts. It's not one big, grand, perfect gesture. It's how can we be brave in the most imperfect way, but do it quickly every day before the brain chemistry kicks in that makes us fearful, hesitate, care about what other people think.
Yeah.
You know, those
second guessing,
that inner critic in our head.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love that, because it kind of builds on the power of habits, right?
Yes.
Something that you do every day. And then you do talk about your IVF journey and how it wasn't what you thought about. But some people out there are going through extreme heartbreak, loss, getting fired from a job, breaking up from a marriage.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people really struggling when they feel like, oh my gosh, I've hit rock bottom right now?
So my book actually has a chapter dedicated to that. I speak about the messy middle, when one part of your life is completely dissolved and the next part has not been created yet. And when we find ourselves in that place, it's called the liminal space. And in that liminal space, we're meant to cocoon away. We're meant to do a lot of internal reflections, journal writing, find great coaches, mentors, read those books that help us ask ourselves the brave questions, the ones that we're now willing to answer honestly. When the marriage dissolves, there were probably red flags there. When the job goes, maybe you weren't happy in that job, and maybe it's time to do that thing you've always wanted to do. We're always being directed towards the most authentic version of ourselves, and that has to happen through our plans failing. Those plans that we think are the ones that are meant to serve us probably aren't.
Yeah, you also talk about the power of community when it comes to healing. I know a lot of self-sufficient women are like, no, I can do it alone. I can just, brave it out, tough it out.
Yep.
But how has community helped you in your journey?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I was a high achiever. October. I'm an ex-finance director in a big publishing house in Australia, and I was a bit of an island. I thought I could do it all, and I was, controlled everything, and as a result, I felt lonely, and that's why I found my soulmate so late in life, and that delayed my fertility journey. We wound in relationships, but we also heal in relationships. So having that mindset of there's so much healing that comes through sisterhood, finding soul mothers, finding people that having things in common with us, finding, if we've just started out as a single woman and we're single parenting, finding a community of single mothers to connect with that show us a new routine in life, a new rhythm. So community gives us knowledge, it gives us influence, it gives us support. It's a group of women to have a laugh with and have a cry with. We need that.
Yeah, we really do. They talk about, finding your tribe, and you just need to find yours, or be brave enough to realize that you're worth connecting with other people. Sheila, it's been such a great honor speaking to you. Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
You're going to be a very busy lady. Get this book, The Power of Little Steps, available at Indigo. And where can people find you at the event tomorrow in Toronto?
So it's Women's Executive Network. I'm collaborating with this amazing organisation called WXN. I'm doing an event tomorrow in Toronto, 3rd of October. I'm also doing an event in Vancouver and Calgary.
Okay, incredible. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sheila. Great to meet you.
You too.
Thank you so much.